Hello, my name is Frank Christensen and I'm the coordinator of officials for IFAF in Europe. This is the second of 5 training tapes dealing with offensive holding. And today we're specifically looking at grab and restrict on the interior line, so on the offensive line. But before we get to the game film, let's have a look to see what the rulebook and MOFO have to say on this topic.
In the rulebook, we go to 399B that defines holding as: the hand and arm shall not be used to grasp, pull, hook, clamp, or encircle in any way that illegally impedes or illegally obstructs an opponent. And that was pretty much it for the rulebook. In the MOFO, we go to 3-3 contact fouls. 1A. Only call it when all of the following conditions are met. 1. The foul is visibly apparent. That means if it wouldn't show up on video, don't call it. 2. The foul affects the play or is conspicuous. That means if it is away from the point of attack and isn't conspicuous, don't call it. 3. The action is demonstrably restrictive. That means if the player is not illegally slowed down or forced to take a longer route to his target, don't call it. And 4. The foul disadvantages the opponent. That means if it actually moves the player the way he wants to go, don't call it. B. Action that constitute offensive holding includes grab and restrict, which is also the focus of this training tape. Grabbing the opponent's body or uniform in a manner that restricts his ability to go in the direction he wishes to go. 2. Hook and restrict. Hooking a hand or arm around the opponent's body beyond the frame of the body presented to the blocker in a manner that restricts his ability to go in the direction he wishes to go. And 3. Takedown. Taking an opponent to the ground by grabbing or hooking when he doesn't want to go to the ground. Note that blocking the opponent to the ground by use of the hands or arms within the frame of the opponent's body or in the back in the free blocking zone is not illegal. C. A player is restricted if 1. He is unable to turn or change direction due to continued restrictive contact. 2. His upper body is turned by the blocker having his arms around him. 3. He is unable to gain separation or to disengage from the opponent by turning, twisting, stopping, etc. 4. His balance is changed or his natural foot movement is taken away. D. Don't call holding if any of the following conditions are met, unless the foul is really conspicuous. 1. The player held made the tackle behind the neutral zone or where there is no neutral zone. 2. The player knocks down or intercepts a pass. 3. The player recovers a fumble. 4. At the point of attack on a run, the opponents are squared up, moving with each other, and none of the restrictions above are noted. 5. It happens at the same time as a tackle elsewhere on the field. 6. It is behind the neutral zone and a forward pass has already been thrown or is in the process of being thrown. 7. It is part of a double team block unless a takedown occurs or the defender breaks the double team and is pulled back. 8. It is the result of a defensive rip. That means the defensive player racing the offensive player's arm. 9. The player held makes no effort to get free of the block. That means he gives up. E. Holding an opponent's jersey is not the same as holding the opponent. For jersey pull to be a foul, there must be demonstrable restriction to the player's movement. And finally, F. Watching the disengagement of opponents is as important as watching their engagement. If a defender slides off a block and is able to proceed normally in the direction he wants to travel, usually towards the ball, then it is unlikely that holding has occurred. And that was the MoFo and the rulebook. Now let's have a look at some game film. On this first handful of plays, we'll see examples of what is holding. And on this first example, the nearest tackle here, we'll see, and we'll look at what we're looking for. So right here we've got restriction. See, 24 is trying to get to the runner, but he can't get there. We've got point of attack. The runner is right there, close by, and we see the effect of the play. B24 is taken out of the play, or was prevented from making the tackle. So we've got restriction, we've got point of attack, and we've got effect on the play. On this next play, we're looking at the right tackle, so A71, and again, we're looking for the same three things that we're looking for. Restriction, which comes right there. We're looking for point of attack, which the runner is right there, and then we're looking for effect on the play. And with the runner coming by or getting by there, that is the third element. So restriction, point of attack, effect on the play. Right there we see his left hand holding the defender back, which is offensive holding. On this play, we're looking at the right tackle, and he's going to be okay initially. So he's okay, and then when the quarterback goes outside right there, he loses position. He creates restriction right there. Quarterback is right there, the runner, so point of attack is also in there, and certainly has an effect on the defender's ability, or rather inability then, to get to the quarterback. So we've got all three aspects, and a good job by the referee to follow this, because this is where he should be looking right now. On this play, we're looking at the near tackle. Not the tight end, but the tackle going into the end zone there. And right there, he spins around the defender, which is a clear indication of grab and restrict. And again, obviously we've got the restriction. The runner is on the same side, so this is certainly point of attack. And the effect is quite clear, since the runner gets a free shot at the end zone. And now I'm not saying the defender would have been able to make the tackle, but he certainly would have had a shot at it. And in this crew of 8, this is the referee's key, so he does a good job here of staying with him and seeing this holding in the end zone. On this play, we're looking at the right guard, and it's somewhat similar to the previous play, and you'll see why. So we've got the restriction right there. We've got the running back, or the runner at least, in A11, so the point of attack is right there, and the runner gets by, so there certainly is an effect on the play. Even though it doesn't go far this run, we're still taking the defender's chance away from making this call. And right now, A57 has good position, but right there, she loses this position, and with the left arm, she's still grabbing and restricting the defender. So restriction, point of attack, and effect on the play. Before we move into the place where we can leave it alone, we're looking at, on this play, at the left guard, so the guard away from the camera on the other side of the center. And he's okay there, and then once the receiver or the defender goes by him, he just kind of grabs him. So we definitely have restriction right there. Feet are taken away. He loses a step. Quarterback still in the pocket here, so it's certainly the point of attack, and the quarterback gets a chance to roll out, so there is an effect on the play. So these are the types of plays where we want to call holding. Now let's go on and have a look at some other plays. So now we're looking at plays where we can leave it alone, basically. And this first one, we're looking at the guard away from the camera, so the left guard. And he's going to come up here. He's in good shape. And now he's holding right there. He's holding the number 99 back. And that certainly looks like holding. We've got restriction, the runner's right there, we've got point of attack, but we don't really have an effect on the play since the run ends behind the line of scrimmage. This is already a tackle for a loss, so the defense won, which means that we can leave this one alone since it didn't have an effect on the play. On this play, we're looking at the right guard, 64, and he does grab the jersey a little bit, but this is not what we would categorize as restriction. If you look at the defender, he doesn't really lose a step or lose any speed, any momentum. It's not like whatever grab there was prevented him from making this sack. So this is not enough for restriction and a good no call. On this play, we're looking at the tackle closest to the camera, so the near tackle. And you could argue that the defender almost beats him around the edge there, but I don't really see any clear restriction. I think this is just good blocking, and he keeps his feet. And as long as the defender is getting pushed backwards from his point of view, I think we're okay. At least we're okay here. So there's really no restriction, and this should not be called as holding. And it's called by the umpire, but really I don't know why the umpire would be looking all the way back there. He should be looking guard center guard, and what happens up in close to the line of scrimmage, and leave this kind of action to the referee center judge. So it shouldn't have been called, and it certainly shouldn't have been called by the umpire. On this play, we're looking at the tackle here closest to the camera, and really, he does grab jersey, but there's no real unfair restriction. He's just driving the guy down the field, so this is not enough for holding. Like I said, there is grabbing up the jersey, but that is not enough. And even though it is point of attack, when there's no real restriction, we want to see a shoulder dip or something like that, or somebody out of position, or something to that effect. Here it's just blocking down the field, and he does a good job of it. Now it's called by the wing here, and I want to commend the wing for looking in the right spot. He should be looking at blocks here, but this is just not enough for a holding call. On this play, we're looking at the tackle here closest to the camera, and there are really two aspects to this. So we've got engaged with B number 4, and there may be some holding here, but when the runner goes by, he's still in pretty good position, so there's no restriction. There is point of attack, and the block certainly has an effect, but when the runner goes by, there's really no unfair restriction of the defensive end. Now there is some holding here, and you could argue that once they go to the ground, this is out in the clear open. But I would say that right now there may be some offensive holding. Here at the end, it almost looks more like defensive holding. So when they're dancing like this and falling to the ground like this, and you can't really tell for sure who is holding who, I would just let it go. I would want, like we've talked about, clear restriction, point of attack, and effect. Here, you don't really know who's holding who, so I would leave this one alone.